Hey everybody, Chris and Torque here. Hi everybody, Chris and Torque King here. We're gonna go a little bit deeper into this transmission for part 2 on the NV 4500 teardown. We've got that shape there, should be more of a symmetrical house shape like we're seeing on this brass synchro ring. And so we'll look at a brand new one here once we've got the rest of this torn down. We'll take a look between some new parts and some parts out of this transmission and see what the difference is for the good parts, the bad parts, what's something we want to look for. So as we go, I'm going to go ahead and start setting pieces down. Okay, so I'm getting my struts out of there. We've already got one that's in the case. We'll come back to that piece in a minute. Some of these will pull off, and that moved a little bit, so I bet that I'll be able to get it off. We'll start at the back side for now. I only hand tightened this nut back on, but I put it on to keep everything in place. So what I'll do is I'll set this out in the same direction that this is, with all of my backward pieces, back end pieces facing down. As discussed, this is not a Torque King shaft, this is another aftermarket shaft. And that bearing press on with one of our quality shafts. Next gear to come off. That's our reverse gear right there. This engages with the reverse gear in the case and the counter shaft, and that's what reverse is right there. And this reverse is a synchronized reverse because it's got the synchro hub there, and a synchro collar, and our bearing inside there looks good. Let's get a good look. Those clutch hub teeth look really good. Our clutch hub struts aren't badly worn, but when we go to build this, we'll take a look at the new clutch struts, the synchro struts rather, and these used ones, and see if there's any major difference there. Now, this looks like it was probably done not too long ago, because this particular ring in here is a spacer, and it's a nylon of sorts. And that part is, it looks practically brand new here. It looks just about as new as anything we've got on the shelf. It just spaces that bearing back on this surface. Here is shift collar for that reverse gear. And these will only go on one way. Those struts are holding on pretty good. There we go, got that in place. There's our reverse synchro. Here's the clutch hub that reverse will ride on. And then here we have one lock ring. Let's try that the other way around. Whew, she bit me. That is a good snug ring. Every time that snaps, These come together quickly, and I've already pinched my finger a couple of times, so watch out if you're doing that at home. It's not a fun thing to do. I'm just so used to getting smacked around. I don't jump very much.
Whoa.
Oh, that's awesome. My golly, that thing is snug. Motherless goat. So I pretty much had to loosen that thing up with a little bit of brute force. I just had to keep bending and bending and bending until it finally gave up. Whew. All right. I win again. Okay. Now, there is the other part of our reverse clutch hub. And let's take a look at that. Let's see. And those teeth have got that symmetrical house-shaped pattern. But again, we'll look at that compared to brand new. All right, next gear to come off is first gear. That right there. First gear, there's second gear, third gear, and fourth gear is direct. So we'll pull off first gear. And it looks like my bearing is going to stay on the shaft as I pull it. It did. We already looked at the outside. Let's look at the inside of first gear. There's a bit of burnishing in there. But there's no hard scratches in the opposite direction of what it wants to move. What we'll probably do is get into it with a precision bore gauge and make sure it's still concentric all the way around, make sure that's good. And we'll look at a new part for that as well when the time comes. All right, so I'm gonna slide that bearing off, put that right into that first gear. Now, got some more snap rings to pull out. These generally don't go so difficult. There's one. What we've got here is more pieces of our Synchro. Got a steel and a clutch. That steel looks very clean, very nice. On the outside surface, we want it to be just about polished. And the teeth in here, we want to check on, get right to the tip of the poker there. You can see you want to check the teeth on both sides, kind of like we did on the clutch hubs, and look for wear on one side more than the other, or any at all. It really doesn't look that bad. Our clutches, friction material rather, and it's a clutch of sorts. They don't look very badly burned, but I am going to replace that. Next, snap ring. These snap rings for first and second gear are fairly easy to get in and out. Not like that major snap ring that I just fought with. All right. Let's take a look at that too. There's definitely some wear on that, but it's not the worst I've seen. One of them I pulled apart was just black as soot and wouldn't ever come clean. That's relatively beautiful by comparison. All right, so I've got these struts in this clutch hub that I don't want to have fly out. Let's see if I can get that clutch off. Yes, indeed. Okay. Here is our 3/4 synchro hub. Synchro hub, not clutch hub. And there are 4 struts similar to the ones we saw in the reverse, and 3 and 4. This hub, obviously on the center, rides in the groove on the shaft. And we've got our outer ring that shifts from one gear to the next. We can see some wear a little bit on the teeth of that slider ring. But if you look real close on that edge there, you've got a little bit of wear. It's not a lot, but it's definitely starting to wear. We'll look at the other side. Slip that through a little bit where we can look. It's pretty shiny over here. More on one side than what I'm seeing on the other way. Yep, it's consistent with the direction of motion of the transmission. But I'm going to leave that together enough for now, just because we're still tearing down. Now, we can tear the rest of this down from the front, but I'm having pretty good luck going from the back, so I'll just continue. All right. So if you get a kit from us, and this kit that this is going to get is the QK 1003 or the QA 1003. It's going to have those snap rings in there. It's going to have these synchro clutches and rings, all of these that we've looked at in there. It's definitely getting a little, it's been warm a couple of times. I'll just replace them all. Make this thing shift like it's brand new. All looking good still. Oh, we didn't look at the teeth in there. How are the teeth looking on this one? Teeth are looking really good. Again, we're looking close on that surface. We can see a little bit of wear. If we turn it the other direction, we see it's smooth there, but it's not really, it doesn't look like it's been ground on as much as this side does. Been hammered on a little more. Again, mostly from the direction of motion, if I'm not mistaken. This is the final snap ring on the first and second gear setup. All right, we're as far as we can go from the back end. And you can take second gear off from the front just as easy as off the back, maybe even easier. But that's how far we've gotten there. Now, back to the front of the shaft. Let's see if we can get this pried off. This one just stay stuck. I just needed a little more help, and I'm not even using a wrench on this. It's just a little stiffer than what I can get with just my fingers. So if you're wondering, am I going to chip that clutch hub up? Not really, no. It's just a little bit stiffer than what I could do with my grip. So I'm looking at the teeth that the 3/4 clutch slider runs across. And they all look nice and clean and square. This front face, as opposed to that dished out back face there, this front face, you can see that clean spot on this used gear. It's pretty clear where the bearing rode on that face when the input shaft was up against it. So that's that bit. Now we've got third gear just sitting right in there on this bearing. Synchro for third gear. Seeing a little bit of wear there where it was pushing up against this edge. See how that edge looks. That synchro clutch surface looks nice there. No wear there. The inside of the gear, let's see how that looks. Again, looks a little burnished, but no nasty scratches really. Doesn't look all that bad. The teeth on this brass synchro with this friction in it, fairly short little teeth, and these will, I've seen those broken before. But even this one isn't all that bad. Slip that bearing in there. Here's another spacer. And the last washer is held on by another lock ring. So, fight is on. Here comes pride in the back stretch. Heartache, come on the inside. Are we gonna get it? I'm absolutely gonna get it. That was beautiful. I much prefer an early success to a late success. More rewarding. Now that washer and second gear. Set that down for the moment. Okay, that's got a little wear that I don't like. You can see, looks more like a record with several grooves instead of just a smooth, flat surface. I don't really like to see it that way. This other side looks good. It's worn, but we're going to replace that anyway. Now, what fell out of here that you didn't see, but you maybe heard, was one little bearing. That was right here. That's that bearing that fell off of there. This bearing comes in our kit that's open like that, and people think they're broken sometimes. It's not actually broken. When it's split there, it's natural, but this one is broken because it's missing that extra little bearing tooth. Let's see, we didn't look at the inside of this gear yet. And more burnishing like that, and definitely uneven inside to in the center towards the outsides is different. But a little polishing will probably be okay with that. And we'll look at the clutch teeth on this, look really good for all of those synchros. Nice and sharp. Set that in there for now. All right. The last thing we've got is just the main shaft right there. Got her all stripped down. As you can see, aside from a couple of snap rings that can fight you a little bit, it's really not that difficult to tear down. It's definitely something worth giving a shelf a try. if you're mechanical at all, there's a pretty good chance you can get the job done. Okay, so the very last piece fell out beyond that bearing. You can see it right there is an anti-rotation pin for that washer, that big thick washer we were looking at. So I'm going to stick that right over here in that clutch hub with that. It's not where that washer goes, but I know where it's got to be. So you can see we've got our main shaft pretty well torn down, other than that one snap ring back here that really wanted to fight me, and a little bit of a fight right there with that one. They're really not that bad to get to. If you're mechanically inclined at all, if you have a few of these tools, and you can get some of these tools from us, we've got what you need to get this torn apart. It's not that difficult to tear it down. So in our next installment, we'll get a very close look at brand new parts compared to the used parts we took out here, so you can get a good look between a little bit of wear, a lot of wear, and brand new. Thanks for watching.